Hey, oh, straight off the bat, it's slow down.
Hey everybody, GamerDan's in the house. Oh
Hey,
no,
hey,
sorry,
how you doing,
people
MatMadik?
got slow off the internet, but
It's pretty bad slowdown. Pretty bad
I'm
slowdown.
good. I'm just now I'm concerned. But sorry, people last week. Yeah, a bit of an issue with yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully it will smooth out just enough for us to get our point
Mm,
across before we get
he's hoping, he's hoping. This is
okay
quite,
terminated. So without further ado, people, we've got a one-parter today because yeah, schedules. But I'm really, yeah.
really good. So, it's the spooky season. We've had Halloween drop. I hope you had a good Halloween and
Mhm.
you've got lots of candies or scared the crap out of someone, whatever floats your boat. But something that's been scaring big companies is the EU, and they're talking about implementing new or enforcing certain regulations with gaming, specifically with microtransactions and the more predatory side of gaming. And I, we've got to talk about it because if this
Yeah.
is, the grace period is over. The investigation is like discovery in a court case is over, and now real action is being taken. So we are going to see some ripples coming through a lot of industries, a lot of companies soon. So it's worth looking at. Right. First and
Yeah.
foremost, I'm going to bring up a quick video and we'll watch a bit of this. I want to thank.
Oh, while I give it
Oh,
that, my camera just knocked out for a sec. I can still see what
yes,
you're showing me. Just
that's
one
good.
sec, people.
Okay.
There we go. Three, two, one. Try and bring the camera back in, and bingo, I am back. Here you
Yes, yes, you are. Okay, and I'm
go.
sharing the screen. There we
This
go.
be good for
Here we go, mate.
So we want to thank the channel. The channel's
us,
name
or we
is Bellular
think it bad
News. Thank you for your video. Let's watch.
Oh,
for us. And with that in mind, here's a quote. Let's not kill one of Europe's few tech success stories. That was a rather damning statement given by the CEO of Supercell, and its latest shot in a war that has been silently raging since April, because that's when the EU unveiled new guidelines for microtransactions in gaming. And now, after a summer of adjustment, the industry
uh-huh.
is speaking out. Now, obviously, in one way, that's all kind of hilarious, and we do sort of think, yeah, you've rammed our games full of this bullshit, a lot of it has felt fairly manipulative, it's
We apologise. We're not swearing. We might have to bloop and bleep his
Yeah,
swears,
absolutely.
but I do
Oh, well,
agree with his statement.
yes. Every
probably
now and then it slips through the cracks. Oh, well.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
someone is getting
Yeah.
involved. Big picture, that is what I think. That being said, a lot of people in the industry are saying that this will ruin everything that they've built. I mean, just look at what the Supercell dude said. Basically, according to a lot of them, they say these regulations would worsen the player experience and also wouldn't improve protections. And that certainly is a bit that I'm at least interested in. They also say
Mm.
that this would cause
Interesting.
widespread collateral damage to one of EU's biggest tech success stories. So here's the thing. He's not entirely wrong. He's not entirely right. There's definitely stuff for us to talk about, and this one's going to be a goddamn trip. And I get this all can be a lot. We've got tariff and trade negotiations affecting everything from Switch 2 pricing to gaming privacy laws, and that means you need a full picture. And that's where
See, this one frustrates me. Big Texas,
Hmm.
Texas says age verification law is
We covered
broad
this.
censorship regime. I don't agree with that. I think that
Hmm.
implementing as a more restrictive or some more not invasive, but at
Hmm.
least clear-cut age restrictions should be useful because once you're of a certain age, you used to have the right to be able to do anything. You are physically matured and you are mentally more experienced. You should be. You've been alive long enough to experience enough to make a reasonable decision.
Hmm.
But a lot of these apps, especially the social media ones, they run on algorithms that encourage attention, encourage focus, and for younger minds, that's disruptive. It's very manipulative. You kind of condition these kids from a young age to act the way you want them to act in order to profit from them. That feels
Hmm.
wrong. So this one,
around
I'm not too bad with.
comes in.
That's a good
Before I
point,
go
good
to
point.
cut through the clickbait and to understand what's out, head up
Gonna
that
jump
link
past
down
the
below.
advert.
Here's a fun fact
Ground
I was
news,
knowing.
like
This was
ground
kind
news.
of kicked off by a Swedish horse girl game. Yeah, so here we are. Let's get into the story. The autumn legislative sessions are starting, and we're right at the end of the consultation period for the Digital Fairness Act. So, would you like some fairness in digital format? Maybe this act is for you. Now, what it is an overarching EU legislative agenda that covers loads of tech fields and where they intersect with consumer protections. Now, for our purposes, it includes features like deceptive interface design, where, well, there's all sorts of shady shit that they do. Manipulative elements, addictive elements, unfair personalization practices. You might think, oh, I love things to be personalized. Less so whenever a game is trying to exploit you really wanting that next upgrade.
That's an important point. And for
That's a
those
good
of you
point,
who are
yeah.
interested in looking at it more specifically, like when people say predatory, and when it comes to
Yeah.
video games and microtransactions, there might be a bit of a disconnect. Like, how is it predatory? How is it encouraging you to buy their stuff? Do check out Stephanie Sterling. The Gymquisition did a fantastic expose. They did a full markup, a video that's one of their best, where they did a lot of interviews, they did a lot of testimony from addicts, and they talked about how these games use the addiction model in order to get people to spend money. Like it's almost like
Ooh.
a casino style
Yeah,
addiction
yeah,
level.
yeah.
It's rooted in a lot of older styles of the marketing and advertising, but just
Mm.
ramped up to 11, man, just juiced up to the strongest value you can
Uh,
be. And I think it's an excellent video. I fully recommend it, and it will highlight how damaging it can be to a small subset, to a very small contingent, to people who are susceptible to that kind of advertising. Most people, water off the back, say water off the back of a
mm,
duck. Just didn't bother it. I mean, most of the time, it doesn't bother me.
mm.
Occasionally, I've been caught out by it. So,
Interesting. Like, if you see a video game, then maybe who knows, we can squeeze in a bit of a part two. I don't know. Drop it. I'd love to learn about that psychology. It'd be
I say
useful.
it's a great video. Gymquisition, the predatory gaming or predatory monetization video. Fantastic.
Mm. Okay.
Right, jumping along.
And is giving you a targeted deal that probably has 900% value or some made up bullshit like that. Now, it's especially
Bleep.
concerned where it hits
Yeah.
consumer vulnerabilities and where people can be exploited. Now, you may remember our coverage from back in April, where we got to talk about the Swedish horse girl game. So that's when the EU took on microtransactions. And what happened is that the Consumer Protection Cooperation Network, rolls off the tongue, laid out some new key principles. And this all came as a part of a case made against the Swedish mobile game Star Stables. Now, what we're talking about today, the Digital Fairness Act and its consultation period, it is building on those principles from the whole horse game saga. Now, what that means is new systems requiring real monetary value on listings, not just, made up gem bullshit. Removing multiple currency options, ensuring refunds are available. Imagine that, a refund on a gem. Crazy stuff. And also ending a lot of the FOMO practices. And especially because these things were often targeted toward kids.
There, that's one of the things that really gets people. FOMO, the fear of losing out.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I was wondering if
it happens all the
Go on.
time. Yeah, I mean, movies do it. Hey, we're in cinemas for so long. Products do it only small stock supplies. It's a tried and true marketing practice. I mean, hell, look at the Labubus and all of those little gacha stores that have popped up. It's a gamble mechanic. You pay, but you don't know what you're getting. You're getting a pull of the machine to get one, and then you've got to pay again to get another pull. And we've got limited Labubus. Get them before they're gone. I've got to get them now. I've got to pay straight away.
Oh my god, yeah, that's amazing. Because I've got a student in my class who's always saying, look who's got his toy there. And I'm like, oh damn, here we go. He's been captured. Gotta catch them all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that idea, gotta catch them all, it's innocent if you're in an environment where the option is available. It's just a matter of time and effort. There's no external stimulation. But if Pokemon came out with a game where you could pay
that is
to
exactly
get
it,
a chance at catching a certain Pokemon, that's what we're talking about now. We're talking about games that are designed to limit their resources to create a social environment where people want to show off, they want to wear the cool skins, they want to kind of socialize with their friends. You charge them for their skins, and you don't charge them directly for the skin. You charge them for the pull of the machine, the
Dude,
chance of the gacha to get
that is
it.
so beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
awful, but
So
it's great
this
how
is what
you broke
they're
it down.
fighting against. Yeah. This is the argument they're making, and even things like a refund. Like if I bought some in-game currency, I got the thing I wanted. Why can't I get? Like, why can't I just refund the extra change back?
That is it. This is the game that this is what protected Pokemon, I think. In that, while you have all the Pokemon card crazes, while the Pokemon, what I love about Pokemon is how it was everywhere. It kind of shielded themselves by
Mm,
when you have the TV show that is giving the Nintendo Game Freak ad revenue all the wazoo, and you got the Pokemon cards, which are effectively doing the Boo thing, but in that way. The game itself, all you have to do with the Game Boy is just put in the hours to catch them all. It doesn't cost you anything except time, and
mm.
at least it's not draining your money, so it can be justified as to what Cash Model was about. When it comes to the Boo, it's just the toys. It's just the gacha, which is the capsule toys. People, I think. I mean, I remember Shenmue. Everybody, I played the game Shenmue.
Yeah.
It's my favorite game, and you can buy capsule toys in that game. And I'd be stuck on that thing for ages trying to get a certain toy, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a virtual thing. Imagine that's real money. That'd be
I
ruined,
spent more
yeah.
than I should at gacha machines in the past just to get the specific one
Mhm.
I wanted. It's stupid, but it's that fear
It's
of losing out.
amazing.
I want this thing. I can't
Mm.
get it directly. I have to go in a roundabout way to spend more money.
It's so effective, so effective.
Yeah, it is very effective, and most of these things can be implemented in limited ways for benefit. Buying cards, as you see with Pokemon cards, baseball cards, card games in general, Magic the Gathering. The buying of the pack is often seen as part of the gameplay experience. It's part of the
Mm.
challenge of building your deck. You've got to kind of find the pieces you need to build the thing that you want.
Mm.
So that's how they skirted around the idea that it's gambling. Like it's
Yeah, yeah,
completely
yeah.
distinct from gambling because it's considered part of gameplay. It's a
Mm.
chance, but there's no payoff.
You said it, mate.
It,
That little people
but
need to
with
know. This is a PSA.
with online microtransactions, it really blurs that line. And I think what they use doing is quite clever. Let's continue.
But also, they would
Damn.
apply to everyone because games would need to implement them across the board. Now, at the time, the industry was obviously not really thrilled. They love making money from all of the things that I just listed that feel sketchy. And they framed these as new legal theories, as a disruption that could see games pulled from the EU if those games couldn't comply.
Do what we say, or we'll pull the option. It's threatening to leave.
Wow.
It's like a sports team demanding money for a new stadium, and if the city doesn't pay, the taxpayers don't pay. Well, we're just going to have to leave you. And then all the
What?
fans are like, "Oh my God, no, no, you can't leave
Oh
us!"
no no
And
no 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 no!
it's it,
Something is wrong here, people.
yeah,
Extortion.
yeah. It feels like extortion. It feels like that. That's such a it's my ball. Screw you guys, and I'm going home. Like a real Eric
Bloody hell.
Cartman move. A
You
true
can't
Richard
do this.
relocation.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, I love that. I love these documentaries. That look, I mean, even what we do, go behind the scenes. It's because the game. It's like really a bit of entertainment. It could be music or a movie or whatever. But games are particularly special because there's three layers of entertainment. There's the entertainment that you have socially with your friends of how you experience it together. There's entertainment of the narrative itself in the game, and then there's the narrative of what's happening in the industry that you can explore,
Mm,
and you can the social political impacts of what moves have been made and what implications it has on how society operates. Politics actually is, I think, upstream from culture. I believe, or was it downstream? Culture comes first, then comes to politics. So
yeah,
the way these corporate political moves are made reflect how our corporate culture is of course based on human nature, analytics, and exploitation, of course, and it's just very fascinating. Yeah.
yeah. Well, you're right. Culture comes before politics, and corporate culture has long said, "Hey, we have a fiscal responsibility to make money. That's how we keep the
Mhm.
company alive. That's how we pay our staff. We need to sell a product, and we'll sell the best product we can. Make that money. We pay our staff, and we build the company. And that's how we're supposed to work. We have a moral duty." And they framed it as a moral argument to make money. It's when you do immoral things to make that money. That's
Right.
where the line blurs. You're like, okay, you're doing the wrong thing for what you argue is the right reason. No,
Yeah,
no,
definitely.
that didn't smell right.
That's all right, mate.
Well, the
Bloody hell.
monetization
Yeah.
designers, guys. But where things left off is that the CPC was supposed to work with them, work with the industry to help implement everything. But 6 months later, the industry mood has not improved, and they are quite worried. That open letter from the Supercell CEO, and by the way, Supercell are the Clash of Clans people, so some top tier creative gaming content. That's just one of several press.
We saw Clash of Clans, like a big display for Clash of Clans at the TGC. At the TG. Sorry,
That's you, mate.
TGS. Thank you. And it's incredible to think that so many gamers don't realize how invasive this game is. Clash of Clans, Candy Crush, and Minecraft are basically the only games that matter to executives. Once you reach a certain level in the business, these are the only games that matter because these are the three most profitable business models. You've got playing against people, playing against the app, and ancillary building. But these have all been monetized to hell, and every game is viewed. Okay, how does it fit within these three models? How do we make money? So Clash of Clans is an enormously powerful. It's one of the most successful games of the last decade. Of us, between 2000s and 2020, it's arguably in the top 5 most successful games
For
of all
sure.
time. And most people I know have never even played it.
Yeah.
But
Go
there's just so many people who do, and so many people who pay while they're playing that it's so profitable. It's a juggernaut.
Listen, give me that one. I want to say quickly is it's a bit like it's funny how I had this also it's a bit of an epiphany or insight this last week in how technology has windows of opportunity, provided windows of opportunities. Every advancement. So when the iPhone came out and then Angry Birds came out, it's like wow, we can break this little snake in the Nokia phones, and next thing we can play games like these. What happens is when the hot franchise or whatever comes out on the new next big platform, it ends up becoming so celebrated and worshipped that it kind of
Ubiquitous.
yeah, exactly. It ends up making the once um the once ray of hope for everybody. Wow, indie developers come here. It's open for everybody. No, Angry Birds only. No Clash of Clans only. Or Candy Crush only. And it's the same thing with YouTube, right? So when it first came out, it's like, wow, it's such an avenue for us to put our videos out. Next thing you know, it's Kai, I didn't say, oh my gosh, I can't even say his name properly. You get these YouTubers, of course, who just gobble up the whole market. And nothing wrong with that, by the way. I have nothing, no business. I appreciate people just going for it. But once the it girl or the it thing takes off, the whole platform becomes like it turns it into what people left TV for. You left the TV platform so that we can have other ways to get in, and then every one of these platforms become. And then now it's AI, and then once everybody starts gobbling up AI, it's going to be now AI is all saturated. What next? And then, but what happens is every time, and this is why people try to be ahead of the curve because I say, what's coming next? Once it comes in, I'm going to be the first one with it. But sometimes it truly is an organic thing, and sometimes it's just good old monopoly and business strategy and strategy. This is why, even though the Bible said, "Be as wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove," you got to know. I think the Bible says that. The time he's quoting it, but you got to know how the devil operates, if you will,
Yeah.
in the face.
It's
It's
true that
just
big companies are loath to change their business strategies. All they do is when the new technology comes along, they're like, how do we make this work the way we did it? But I do agree with you that early wins or early success stories on new platforms in using new technologies will often kind of define it. They will become the tropes, the examples that everyone follows. I mean, when mobile phone gaming, when smartphones came out, they were like a touch screen. The ideas that it blew the doors off of gaming. Like we could play in so many ways. We play in incredible new ways. What did it happen? Clash of Clans, Candy Crush. The entire industry just evolved into a sea of repeated tropes. All of them just desperate to sell you some microtransactions. It's few and far between you'll find innovative games. They are drowned out. Same with Steam. Steam's a great
Mm.
platform, but there are so many new games being dumped on it, and I do use the term dumped,
Yeah.
that the actual shining success stories, the truly innovative games, get drowned out. They need to kind of curate their own art libraries to get these things the attention that they require.
Yeah.
It's sad, but
It's
yeah,
interesting, isn't it?
it's a predictable
Yeah.
pattern
This is
because
what happens
why rock the
inevitably.
boat? If this thing works, let's just keep doing it, and that
That's
doesn't
it.
work with new tech.
I think that there needs to always be. I think these companies. I mean, it's happened so often that it's like it's probably not going to change unless somebody deliberately goes out and gets it. You're going to have to create an avenue whereby indies really can shine. Somebody's have to think about it. I have no idea how it's going to happen, but what's going to happen with this microtransaction
Unfortunately,
situation?
it would be nice if these industries were able to self-regulate. I mean, comic
Mm,
books when they were under threat in the 50s,
mm,
the seduction of the innocent, comic books
mm,
were attacked by like Satan panic and just like in the 80s with D&D.
yeah.
People thought that they were morally corrupting the youth. So what did they do? They began to self-regulate. They created the comic book code. They created very strict rules, and the comics became very, very. So it became went from the gold age to the silver age. The silver age comics were like Batman, Brave and the Bold. I am a
Mm.
hero with my hammers of justice, and the bad guys
Yeah, yeah.
always lose. And they always had villains lose. They always portrayed crime as villainous, and it was very, very sanitized. It wasn't until like the 70s with Alan Moore and the 80s with Frank Miller that you started getting morally dubious heroes come back, that we were willing to try and muddy the water to tell more human stories through superheroes. And that's where
Mm,
we are now, past the Bronze Age to the modern age. But it's the same for most industries. Whenever there's a bit of a scare, they will try and self-regulate. And video games do it. I mean, there is there is like the video game coding. There is the FCC organization that puts labels on the game, and that's supposed to be self-regulating autonomy. It's paid for by video game companies, and they
right.
advocate for video games. But over the years, they've just failed. It's just been a thing like they just whitewash any kind of misbehavior, and while pumping lots and lots of money into politics to try and sway people in the way of allowing them to do it. So
Mm,
terrible. Right. But what
goodness,
we're going to watch
yeah.
now is
Yeah.
this is one of the industries, one of the CEOs arguing against these rules. Let's see what he
Mm.
has to say. What arguments is he putting forward?
Efforts that we've seen in recent weeks. But it's the most striking one from a senior figure. Basically, he says that he doesn't want the EU's €27 billion industry harmed by the DFA or the guidelines that came in March of this year. And he argues that they will, quote, break how many games fundamentally work.
I think that's quite telling. If protecting young children from predatory practices will break how your game is functions, your game shouldn't
Oh
function that way
dear.
in the first
Exactly.
place.
What does that say about your games?
Yeah, what does that say about you?
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yes.
we can't screw kids. Well, yeah, what are we to do then? What are we supposed to do?
Oh my god. Yeah, that makes sense. You can't screw. Oh dear.
Yeah, sorry,
What?
I was channeling my inner religious critic, but
Oh
that's
dear,
a
but
different
this is
conversation.
that is it.
But
That's it. That
yeah,
is it.
They will harm the player experience, and especially will do this for free-to-play games. He uses a familiar metaphor for how in-game currency works, but it's one that was okay per the legal framework before the new guidelines in April. And basically he talked about theme park tokens. The idea that a family can buy tokens in bulk, or they can buy tokens individually, or they can even win tokens in a theme park. And to him, this is all framed as, quote, convenient and fun, avoiding repeated cash transactions. You know, the idea you can buy loads of tokens at once. And he then contrasts this with the potential worst case under the new guidelines, where individual parental approval for each token used, including signed contract agreements, regardless of purchase value and all of that, would basically harm the experience. Basically, he's saying that regardless of purchase value, rides must display a real cost in euros based on a fixed standard, not, a token cost. Now, when children win prizes, they believe that those prizes are worth real money, despite obviously not being able to cash out. In his analogy, the visitors get frustrated and leave. Why? Well, because the experience isn't simpler or safer than what exists now. So, why?
So, what's an important analogy part of his analogy is he's saying that we should treat microtransactions like a currency, a token currency you get in theme parks. Instead of spending actual cash all the time, you buy these fake currencies. And you can win these currencies and you can use the currencies in the park. But you shouldn't put a real world number next to them because it disillusions people. It makes them think people think that they are actual money. It's not an in environment currency. Like in a theme park, use tokens are only useful in the theme park. If you go to an online game, these tokens are only effective in the game. You can't take that out of the game. So showing how much it costs in real world kind of ruins it for them. I disagree with him there because again, it constantly ensures this, like, hey, this is what you're actually spending. But again, for kids, it does promote this. It does create a bit of a problem. Like if they saw that, they would think, oh, I've got this thing; it's worth this much. And kids are cruel at the best of times. If someone's wearing a default skin, they get bullied at school, which is brutal, absolutely brutal. It would just mean that whoever can afford will be able. We'll just have another feather on the cap. We'll have like a little banner over them going, "Yo, I've got money and you don't."
Yeah.
So I can see that there are some negative context to that.
I see what you're saying.
But I do think it's good overall. But there might be. It's the law of unintended consequences.
That's the thing. I think if you're really creative, you can figure out a way around this. It may be a cop out because if you at the end of the day, if he's arguing for something that is going to still be detrimental to your pocket, then we got to deal with that first because enough. I don't know, but I do I know what you're saying about kids. Like, they're so hilarious trying to one up each other. I'm like, come on, kids, you're getting money from someone else. You're not working for that, so shut up. But at the same time, anything to one up the Joneses. Um, it's nah, man. I don't know any cop outs. These people they don't care about protecting kids from bullying as much as they care about protecting the company from bankruptcy.
True. Like, let's jump onto a little bit of how it actually might work.
Is in-game currency the same as real currency? Because if it's treated as such, as, quote, digital representations of value, then the companies trading in them face significantly more scrutiny. And if you're thinking about, say, I don't know, banking, crypto, and other things, yeah, you're kind of thinking along the right lines. Because effectively, they would then be a little bit more like Bitcoin under the law. And to be
that's one of the things that people are concerned about is that these in-game transactions are going to be considered actual currency. Like this is a currency. It's a currency. It's an entity with certain legal representations and certain legal litigations around it. Because you are spending money for this fake thing, but it's long been held like, oh, it's just a bit of fun. It's all just hand wavy to game. No. If the EU begins to treat the currency as actual currency, in-game currency as real currency, it opens up a lot of problems for these companies.
Yeah, a lot of problems. I see what you're saying, but still, I don't know. Maybe I'm not thinking about it deeply enough, but surely there's a way around this. but no,
well,
it's a good thing
there is no. I don't think there is a right or wrong answer. I mean, there are a lot of we'll continue on a little bit, and then we'll put a pin in that and come back because there are problems, and I do think that some video game companies have a legitimate argument against some of these regulations, specifically smaller companies. Bigger ones have got the pull to survive it, but up and coming games that haven't got the traction yet, who are trying to make a name for themselves in the market, these regulations will make it harder. And does that cull the market? Does that only allow for the biggest entities to stay monopolizing it?
Yeah.
Clear, that is the position of the CPC. And therefore it's inherent to the current consultation for the Digital Fairness Act, which is the big thing that would really change a lot. Now, the fundamental argument is that people are putting real money into these systems, and they are getting in return for their real money a digital representation of that money in the form of products, like, say, your gems or your Call of Duty points, whatever it may be. So because of that, they should therefore have transparency and safety when they are spending. Now, those are good, noble goals, but implementation could be a little tricky, and it would mean some humongous changes. Now, we can't just dismiss those things because we like the principles behind the changes, and for the avoidance of doubt, we here are very much behind those principles. And what the industry is putting forward really are based on worst case scenarios. But that doesn't mean that they won't happen, and we should talk about it because it would impact the industry. Now, they already don't trust the EU elements implementing all of this, as flagged by George Osborne, well, that one, in his excellent video games industry memo newsletter back in April. His sources suggested to him something rather troubling, that before the new guidelines, the CPC did not engage with industry trade bodies, let alone get impact assessments. I know, impact assessments, it's real sexy stuff, but then again, we are dealing with, billions of euro and how the industry literally works. Now, that's part of why these bodies are emphasizing certain facts. Things like, only 18% of kids are allowed to make purchases, that 95% get parental supervision, and that monthly spending has actually gone down year on year, which is at least a silver lining if you're not a fan of microtransactions.
Yeah, but those numbers are fudged because the number of people who have started paying has gone up. So even if the amount that they're spending is lower, the fact that there are more of them, it means you're still overall making more money. The industry has only been growing, and ever since Fortnite and kind of these perpetual online live services style games, they are dominating young people's in my market. So few kids play anything other than Apex or Fortnite. I mean, I've got kids in my class. They're pushing teenagers, and that's all they play. It's just Minecraft, Fortnite, occasionally Splatoon. So as the number of kids who do get a console, who parents are at least tech savvy enough to let them play, they start playing and they start paying. The amount some of these people are paying is lower and lower, sure. But the number of people who are paying is huge, and it's that kind of deceptive number practices, that kind of portraying your side of the story rather than showing all the facts that struggles. But again, if you implement certain rules without considering the impact on the industry, it's the law of unintended consequences. You don't know what's going to happen. No, the path to hell was paved by good intentions.
Good intentions.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, there was a great analogy. Something's fence. I forget the actual name, but it's the idea of you're walking through a field, and you come across a fence, and so you look around. There's no one there. There's no animals. There's no nothing. So you're like, oh, screw it, and you kick down the fence. You didn't know why it was put there in the first place. They never make a change unless you know why a rule or a restriction was placed there. Because this person didn't know why it was set up, knocking it down has caused a negative effect. So if you're going to make laws, you've got to know what those laws are going to do in the long term. And that's difficult, and it's boring, and it's time consuming. But it is the safe. It's the necessary thing to do. So while I support these new changes, I don't support the shotgun to the face technique. I'm going to pause here. We're back in part 2. Okay.
See you soon, people.
See you soon.
Yeah.
Whoop. Peace.